One world, one network. This is WNN.
Alright guys, so in this one, I want to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 wish list for McFarlane's DC Multiverse. Now I know we're getting towards the end of the run, so this is going to be kind of like a Hail Mary because we know there's not a lot of time left for figures that we're, dreaming about and wishing for. And also I know that it takes a while to produce a figure. I mean, from concept to packaging to the final figure. It takes almost a year, I would have to say. So anything that McFarlane doesn't really have ready to go, probably we're not going to see it. But we do have a couple of months left, so you never know. Fingers crossed, maybe I'll get one or two of these figures out of my list. So there's a good mixed match of figures that I have on this list. Some are personal wants that I really want to see, and some are, just figures that I know a lot of people would like to see. So, all right, let's go ahead and start it off. We're gonna do number 10 is gonna be Artemis. Now I do have the Mattel DC Multiverse Artemis figure, and besides being a cool female to add to the collection, this would be an easy one for McFarlane. Just reuse that classic Wonder Woman body from the collector's edition, add some wings on the boots and a different head sculpt. I really think McFarlane would excel in this head sculpt with the hair design being all, crazy, but add a bow and arrow from one of the archers and this figure will be ready to go. So, I mean, this is a cool one that we could add to the collection. That is Artemis at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have The Flash from the 1990s Flash TV show. Barry Ship, I think that's his name. Now, you got to admit, the costume looks really, really good. They kind of tried to give him that Michael Keaton Batman body look, with the abs and everything. And I was just always, as a little kid, when I would see this, I thought it looked pretty awesome. So I do have the DC, I think it's the DC Select collection or something like that. And as you can see, I'm such a big fan. I really love this design that I even have two of these. I bought one on eBay one time for like $15, which I really got lucky with. So I always keep these, cherished in my collection. And I mean, he's kind of there. If you look at the Dark Flash figure, that's pretty close to what we're looking for. So that's another one that I would really like to add to the collection. I mean, and at number 8, we have Vigilante. Now, I really love the design. I love the colors of this character. This is the Mattel version. Came with an array of weapons, which now McFarlane seems like he's allowed to release figures with weapons, so that would work. Simple design. You don't really have to add a lot of things. There's a bunch of stuff that McFarlane already has printed out, like the guns, the red visor. I think he could use the one from End of Winter Batman, so that would work out pretty good. And I could finally get rid of the custom that I've been, putting on my shelf. Was just, a crazy custom that I did one time at 3 a.m. And I would love to put an official released Vigilante up with my comic styled Peacemaker custom. So that would be pretty cool. So that's number 8, Vigilante. I mean, and at number 7, we have Tim Drake's Red Robin. Now, this is the Mattel figure. I think it was called DC All-Stars or something like that. I do have one of these in the package, but I also have this loose version. I was just always a big fan of the design of this character, the cowl. And McFarlane does have a lot of the parts you would need. I mean, the bow staff's pretty simple to reuse. You do have that flying Red Robin, the winged one, where you could kind of base this off of, as well as Mattel kind of put this on a larger buck which I think he's supposed to be still like a smaller book. So they kind of miffed that a little bit. They messed up where they made him kind of an adult size when he's supposed to be more of a teen size. So I would really love to see this version of Red Robin from McFarlane and add it to the Bat Family collection. So that's number 7, Tim Drake's Red Robin. Now at number 6, it's pretty funny because this one kind of went down on the list because I have my custom version, as you see here. This is the Reaper from Batman Year 2. Now Mattel did do one of these, but I really wanted a McFarlane styled version of the Reaper. So I went ahead and put in the work and made my custom. But of course, McFarlane could easily make this. I used the body from the Armored Azrael from White Knight. And I'm pretty sure McFarlane could add on some spikes. And he'd love to design that Silver Skull for the head sculpt. Now we do have the sights from the Batman Year 2 that he could use as well, that he could reuse. So I don't see why McFarlane just doesn't give us an example of this pretty cool villain, the Reaper from Batman Year 2. So that is number 6. I mean, and at the halfway point, we have another one that a lot of people want, and that is Big Barda. Now, of course, this is the Mattel DC Classics version. Now, they kind of messed up on this one as well because although they added all the sculpt work, added all the design, where they did her wrong is they made her way too small. McFarlane could use this to his advantage because we know his female figures, especially like Wonder Woman, are a little bit on the tall side because she really should be a couple of inches taller than Mr. Miracle himself. So that would just be one thing I hope he would get right, is that Big Barda is a little bit taller, a little bit more of an Amazonian styled female. So that is my number 5. On the wish list from McFarlane, Big Barda. Now coming in at number 4, I don't have any representations of these, so these will just be, picks, but this is one that I really have on my wish list. Like, this would be my dream. In fact, if it doesn't come true, I'll probably be trying to make a custom of this, and that is General Glory. Now, if you don't know him, he's like a weird random character in the DC universe, but he is a character that's there, so that's established. So this would be something that McFarlane could do. Now, what I think is if you get a little bit of Red Tornado, the original release, a little bit of Geoforce with an alternate head sculpt, you could really make this work. This would be awesome. This is a kooky character, and I'm really down with that. Man, I wish that I could see an official release of General Glory from McFarlane. But for right now, we'll have to keep our fingers crossed and hopes that he, just pulls this one out of his hat and gets it to us. And that is number 4, General Glory. Coming in at number 3, this is going to be Warlord. Now, I do not own any versions of this figure as well. I think DC Direct made one. But you do see him a lot of times going through, the archives of DC Comics. Now, McFarlane does have a couple of things he could probably start with a base for this, which is like that Caveman Batman. As well as knowing McFarlane really likes to do these intricate designs and barbarian style figures. So this is another one we got to just hope and pray. Maybe McFarlane will give us a Warlord before it is all said and done. That is number 3. Now, number 2 on the list, the runner-up, another one I do not have, but that's for a reason, and that is because we've never seen this figure before, and that is going to be the Batman Who Frags. Now, if you don't know, this is kind of from the Dark Knights universe, and it is a Batman mixed with Lobo. There is, versions of him in the comics, and one of those out there and crazy designs that McFarlane would probably have a lot of fun in replicating. Now, this was on an earlier leaked list, so I don't know if maybe by the end we'll see this figure. We'll just have to keep our hopes up. But yeah, I'd really like to see this one in the flesh, and that is the Batman Who Frags. And before we get to my number 1 on the wish list for McFarlane's DC Multiverse, let's go ahead and do my honorable mention. And that is going to be, I really wish we would get one more figure from the animated Teen Titans. Now, as we know, we got the Cyborg figure. I do have 3 of these, so I mean, I was really all in. And there was something on the leak list about an alternate version of this, but I think the sales of the animated figures really didn't show McFarlane that people would be interested. And it really blows because I would really like to see at least Beast Boy, even with just Beast Boy, those are like the BFFs of the Teen Titans. And that would be awesome. I've been, trying to think up of a custom I could do, but there's just, nowhere to start. But maybe in the end, I'll have to, pull it out of somewhere. Robin would be nice, Raven, Starfire, but I think Beast Boy would probably be the best bet. But looking pretty sad, looking like we're never going to see it. And that would be my honorable mention that I would love to see before the line ends. And that is one of the Teen Titans to match up with our Cyborg figure. Now, number 1 on the list, I have talked about this before, and that is KGBEAST. Now, Mattel made one of these, and wasn't a big fan of it. I mean, I really hated that they went with a more modern design. They added that, big weapon that's mounted onto his hand after he had to cut his hand off when Batman trapped him in the sewers of Gotham. But it's always been a character I really like. Now, I'd love to get an old school version, an original design of KGBEAST, but I wouldn't mind something in the middle. Just not a big fan of the newer modern designs. Now, I did do a custom of this because I really hated that big contraption on his hand. So I made my own custom where I redid his whole arm to give him just 2 regular arms, cleaned up the boots a little bit. Well, a couple of things I wasn't a fan of the original one had some working knife holsters, but I just didn't like it looked too messy, like too busy, and I just wanted a clean design. Also, they made him super bulky. Like, I'm not sure why they did that. He's pretty much the same build as Batman. So I really wish they would have went with an old school design of KGBEAST. But that's it, guys. That is my number 1. I hope that we get this before it's over, but who knows what's to come in the next couple months. McFarlane, the time's running out, and it really needs to pump out at least a couple of wanted figures. There's leak lists that show a lot of things that people want that we're finally going to get. But all we could do is, keep hoping that he gets at least one of these figures out there in the market before it's over. So anyways, guys, that's my list. Most wanted figures before the line ends. See you on the next one.